jewelry, that is, so you'll wear it every day. Perhaps you have an item that needs a little repair, an update to match your style, a ring that you'd like to convert to a pendant. Bring your beloved, well-worn jewelry to Wimmers and we'll assist you in reimagining an updated version or give it a brand new look. Fall in love with those special pieces all over again. Wimmers Diamonds. Repair, reimagine, restyle.
Issues that affect us all right here in the FM Metro. This is Talk of the Town with Jon Adams on WDAY Radio.
Hello, Fargo. Welcome to Talk of the Town with Jon Adams. As you see, it's just me in studio for a number of reasons, but the most important is that we're going to delve deep into something that has been weighing on my mind, you know. The show is supposed to be about positivity and all the wonderful things that happen in the Valley, as well as in our country and around the world. And I had something interesting happen over this weekend. So my wife and I we're down vacationing in Arizona, which was a wonderful time. Let's give Jackie a shout out. We're celebrating Jackie Olsen's birthday. I believe it was her 45th, so wish Jackie a happy birthday. But as I'm sitting here, by the pool, I start hearing reports coming out of the Middle East about the war and all the things that are going on over there. And instantly, my heart sank. And it sank for a number of reasons. Probably the biggest is that I have a friend who is Palestinian, and he is in Palestine right now. And so here a world event has touched me in a way that I had no idea, first of all, because I've known this young man for a while now, and I know his family personally, and I know extended family. And it is heartbreaking to see what is happening. So I thought, you know what? Maybe this is a show that I need to touch on. Maybe this is a subject that I need to touch on. You know, some people might say, well, you know, it's not positive forward. It's not. Well, it can be. It can be in the way that we have to understand that we live in a global community. We can't be isolationists in our United States now. It's very important that we understand that, because here we have something happening in Palestine and Israel, and it's directly affecting people in our country and in Fargo. So at the top of the list, I want to talk about media bias. You know, whether it's social media, whether it's the newspaper, whether it's the radio, I see what's coming out in the news, okay? And then I talk to my friends that are living through this. And the one thing that I want people to understand is there are two sides to every story, okay? And the way this is being portrayed in the media, I think, is wrong. I think that there's way more to it than what we are seeing. But if you look on one channel, it's portrayed a certain way. You look on another channel, it's portrayed a different way. And so the question becomes, how do we sift through information? How do we get the right information? You know, how do we make sure that we're talking about this the right way? Because I'll tell you what, for me, I'm hurt for the people that I know in this situation. And I'm hurt for them because, number one, they're immigrants. They've come to this country and they've made a great life for themselves. And so I'm hurt because they're going to be looked at, if they say they're Palestinian, they're going to be looked at as terrorists. They're going to be looked at people that should be feared, murderers, rapists. And that's simply not the case. And so for me, I thought it was something that should be covered, and we can't be afraid to talk about it. You know? I think a lot of times, you know, by the way, I want to tell you, I was warned not to talk about this subject from the Palestinian perspective. I want that to sink in. I was warned that it's probably not a good idea to talk about the Palestinian perspective because you're going to get a lot of heat. Well, I'll tell you what, I believe that if you tell the truth and you say what needs to be said, then you should tell the truth. My religion tells me that we need to tell the truth. My personal belief is that if you see injustice, you need to say something. And so, understand, I am not in support of what I'm seeing over there. Okay, I'm talking about the Palestinians that go about life every day just trying to give their family a better life. Okay? The example I would use is in the United States, we have a lot of right-wing hate groups like the Ku Klux Klan. You know, the Proud Boys. And some people would debate that it's not a hate group, but yeah, they're a hate group. Now, they espouse a certain amount of views that I hope people don't align themselves with, but they do. And they do despicable things under the guise of being Christian, being true Americans, and there are people out there that support them. And we either have to sit by and let these things happen, or we can be the voice of reason and logic. And so that's the purpose of this show, is I really wanted to talk about, and look, people may know, you may know this already. I'm not trying to talk to you like you're a third grader or you couldn't possibly disseminate various topics one from another. Where's the angle here? But I've got to be honest with you. I have very little faith in our government telling us the truth. Let's just talk about weapons of mass destruction. Okay? Let's talk about the real reason why we went into Afghanistan. That's our government telling us that we need to do these things. And later on in life, we find out that we didn't need to do these things. And in a lot of ways, it was to our detriment. The most egregious was the rise of Osama bin Laden. That our government had a direct hand in that. I would encourage you to go do your homework. See, these are the things that I'm talking about because it's important that we are informed. You know, we used to be one of the most well-educated countries in the world. Not so anymore. Not so anymore. But it's up to us as citizens to look at this and be proactive in the education of our youth, to be proactive in the education of everyone around us, to understand that we are a global society now, and what happens over there has consequences over here. And if we choose not to be a part of it, if we choose as citizenry to sit in the background, then our government does whatever they want. And at this point, they do in a major way. And I can tell you it's to our detriment. So basically, that's the show. And I feel some type of way about it because this is not the show that I wanted to have. I believe in being positive about this, but I also believe that somewhere along the line, the Lord said, hey, listen, you need to say this. You need to put it out there that we as Americans need to do a better job at disseminating the information that we get, understanding world politics, understand what's going on in our society. And if we don't, we're going to be doomed. We're going to be doomed, and we're going to be at the mercy of the government. And some people might say that sounds awful Republican, that I don't want big government, but I don't. But that's not germane just to the Republicans. I don't think anybody wants big government because they don't do much well. So Jacob's in the booth laughing because I'm going all in here, but it's a fact. Our government does so much that if I did as a citizen, if I ran my business the way the government runs our country, I would be under the jail. If I did what our congressmen and our representatives do, I would be in jail for so long, I wouldn't see the light of day forever. Well, we're off and running. Jacob says we're up against the break. When we come back, we're going to talk about how to combat media bias. This is Jon Adams with Talk of the Town. If you want to call in, the phone number is 701-293-9000. We'll see you on the other end of the break.
Fix it forward auto care. The name you trust for car repair. Fix it forward auto care. The name you trust for car repair.
The team at Fix It Ford Auto Care is unique, trustworthy, and driven to serve. Help others while you get your auto fixed at Fix It Ford Auto Care in Moorhead. Find out more online at fixitfordautocare.com.
Redemption Road provides housing and transition services for those exiting the criminal justice system or treatment. Join them November 3rd for their 6th annual Fall Gala. This year, they're welcoming guest speaker Eddie McLaughlin, who currently works for Prison Fellowship. Eddie was just 20 when he found himself on death row. There will be a dinner, raffles, and other great surprises. Get your tickets by finding Redemption Road Ministries on social media or on their website, redemptionroadministries.org, under the Events tab.
I'm Bill Bradford, the proud new owner of Wheels Power Sports in Fargo. At Wheels Power Sports, we pour our focus into our team and our customers. We know that if our team is happy and delivering a great experience to you, our customer, there is no way we can fail. We are here to get to know you and build a lasting relationship with you. It's our goal to earn your trust, respect your time, and treat you fairly. As we enter a new season, we hope to see you soon for all your Polaris needs at Wheels Power Sports, Fargo.
Warning, drivers must be at least 16 years old with a valid driver's license to operate. Read, understand, and follow your owner's manual. All riders should take a safety training course. Call 800-342-3764.
Pucklet Chevrolet GMC believes you deserve a reliable pre-owned vehicle that fits your needs and budget. Car Bravo at Pucklet Chevrolet GMC gives you an expansive inventory of Car Bravo certified GM and non-GM used vehicles. Confidence and peace of mind come standard, as every Car Bravo certified vehicle includes a 126-point inspection and a 6-month or 6,000-mile warranty. Choice, confidence, peace of mind. Feel the used euphoria at PuckletValleyCity.com, North Dakota's Car Bravo headquarters.
Imagine it's the last ride, but your symptoms of irritable bowel syndrome with constipation, or IBS-C, are taking you for a ride. What should you do? Keep managing your constipation with belly pain the same old way? Or try getting ahead of your symptoms by talking to your doctor about treating it with Linzess, linaclotide. Linzess is a prescription medicine that treats IBS-C in adults. It's not a laxative. It's a once-daily pill that helps you get ahead of your symptoms. It's proven to help you have more frequent and complete bowel movements and helps relieve overall abdominal symptoms, belly pain, discomfort, and bloating. These symptoms were studied in combination, not individually.
Do not give Linzess to children less than 2. It may harm them. Do not take Linzess if you have a bowel blockage. Get immediate help if you develop unusual or severe stomach pain, especially with bloody or black stools. The most common side effect is diarrhea, sometimes severe. If it's severe, stop taking Linzess and call your doctor right away. Other side effects include gas, stomach area pain, and swelling.
Imagine, what could relief from IBS-C mean for you? Talk to your doctor and say yes to Linzess. Learn more at linzess.com or call 1-800-LINZESS.
This is Talk of the Town with Jon Adams on WDAY Radio.
Welcome back to Talk of the Town with Jon Adams. It's 11:19 and we're off and running. And I prefaced the beginning of the show with talking about the Israeli-Palestinian conflict and the fact that we need to be mindful of what we're seeing coming in the news, and that there are two sides to this issue. And I think that it's important that we hear both sides. Now, I'm not saying that what's going on right now is right or wrong, but I think it's something that we need to look at. And Jacob says that we have Joe, a caller. He is actually in Palestine right now. Good morning, Joe. How are you?
Good morning, Mr. Adams. How are you? I'm doing good.
I'm doing fantastic.
Just a reminder, we may be cut off because our interference here that we're getting from interference from lines, from phones.
What do you mean? Why is there interference?
Well, because no outgoing calls and no incoming calls can come into occupied Palestine right now. So we're having a hard time communicating with other family members.
Okay. So can you just walk us through where you are and what the situation is for you, Joe?
Right now I am in East Jerusalem. I'm sitting here in my house in East Jerusalem, and we have there's a curfew going on right now. We can't go out of our house after 5 o'clock. No walking, no cars. Any cars come through, they have to be searched. They have to be checked. And if you live in the old city, you're allowed to go in. If you're not, you can't go in there. So there's a curfew going on.
So one of the things that I want to discuss is basically the conflict itself. And one of the things that happens is it seems like there is fighting going back and forth, and it seems as though there are Palestinian casualties before this period, before what's happening right now. There were instances where Israel invaded Palestine, or they went into churches and killed women and children. Were you over there during that time, or can you speak to just what is the conflict?
The conflict started 75 years ago, where the Europeans they have no place for what happened with the Holocaust, and they needed a homeland for the Jewish people, and they started migrating into Palestine, and the Palestinians took them in because of what happened to them in Europe. So what happened is they started migrating. They started taking over the land, taking over everything that was happening. Is they were occupying, and they're occupiers right now as we're speaking. So they have the power from the European Union and the West, and they're supported by the Europeans and the West. And that's what's happening right now. Is as a Palestinian, we have no rights. We have no freedom of moving around. We have no freedom of communicating with other people. We have wall barriers that is put in place for us Palestinians. For example, I have my cousin that lives in the West Bank. He's only like 100 yards away from me. There's a wall barrier between me and him. I cannot go see him. I have to go all around 3 checkpoints just to get to his house. So it's brutal. It's brutal out here. It's brutal on all aspects.
So just so I'm understanding you, and people will have to forgive me, I'm versed in it, but I'm not well versed. So with Israel, or with Israel getting land, okay, they have a set area that they're in, but now they have encroached into more area, or they have made it so that you have less area. I'm really trying to understand where the conflict is in terms of...
Well, Israel is a colonialism country, or people that they are taking over and occupying people's land, and claiming and this false knowledge that they're the chosen people and this is the land of their ancestors. Which in 1968 there was a British scientist that was doing excavation to find the third temple underneath the Dome of the Rock, which they never found, and she was kicked out of there because she came up with a report and said, hey, there's no history dating back 2,000 years to 3,000 years. Sure, it's in the Bible, but that's not the same people that was there and now, and it's a whole different ballgame.
Okay. So some people have referred to what's happening in Palestine as apartheid, modern day apartheid. How would you assess that? Would you say that is correct? Oh, it sounds like Jacob says that we've lost Joe, so we're going to move on. Hopefully we can get him back. But it's interesting listening to some. Actually, he sounds pretty calm for somebody that's in the middle of a war zone. And so from what I gathered from him is that basically Palestine is an occupied state, which means that wherever they go, they have checkpoints. The Israelis monitor their progress. They can't go anywhere. Basically, it's a police state. So that's the premise based on what I heard. Now, I might be inaccurate. I don't want anybody to hold me absolutely to it, but imagine living in a police state. I have another friend that told me of issues where Palestinians have been gunned down for not showing their papers, for not being in the right place at the right time, for showing any aggression at all. They could be gunned down. So these are all things, and again, this is about information, okay? I'm not trying to stir anybody up. I'm not trying to be on one side or the other. But people, we got to have the information, okay? And this really puts it into light. Imagine if you lived in an occupied state. Now, from my understanding, Hamas is the radical side of the Palestinian argument, okay? But if you're not radical, such as Joe, you're here, you're just trying to live, you are under that umbrella. And so you suffer the slings and arrows. So I'm going to move on because I do want to talk about something, and let's talk about media. How do you separate fact from fiction? At the top of the list, we need to be mindful, okay? And the number, it says that up to 50 to 60% of people are getting their information from social media, okay? 50 to 60% of the United States is getting their information from social media. Well, I can tell you, yours truly is a part of social media, and with my level of education, my brain power for people who follow me would be absolutely ludicrous and crazy. But a lot of people take things that they see on Facebook, things they see on Instagram as gospel. And let's face it, if you got a 20-year-old influencer who's making a ton of money, they say when you look behind the scenes for every one influencer, there's 200,000 people that aren't even close. But when you look on social media, they make it seem like everybody can be an influencer. Everybody's going to make thousands of dollars a day putting out content. So think about it. If your idea is to make money on social media, you may not necessarily be concerned about content. You may put stuff out there that's just flashy, stuff that you think is going to get you clicks or likes. That's the way the system works for my older crowd. Clicks and likes determine, it's like your ad rating. More clicks, more likes, more money. So the first thing is we have to be mindful that social media is not any place to go get your information, okay? The second thing I want to talk about is diversify your resources. So whenever I want to know something that's happening in the Middle East, I go to a network called Al Jazeera, and it is out of the Middle East, and it has a lot of good information that just gives you the information. It doesn't appear to be biased, and I can only say that because of the content that I read, the way that they report on the United States and things that, particularly during the Trump era, I was impressed with the way they reported things that happened with Donald Trump. And surprisingly, a lot of it was positive. There were a lot of people around the world that saw Donald Trump in a very positive light, and I think that's something that it's astonishing to me, because for me, he did some things well, but he did a lot of things not so well. And so it was hard for me to get behind the whole Trump movement. It was hard for me to sit there and watch a lot of the things, people holding this guy up as a leader, even though morally the guy was about as corrupt as you could be. So the second thing we also need to do is we need to fact check our information. We can't, if I'm sitting on this radio and I'm saying, hey, look, the sky is orange right now, you might want to look outside and fact check to see if the sky is orange. But it's funny because we never used to have to do that. It used to be news reporting was about reporting the news. Now it's about sensationalism. Now it's about the slant. Okay? Now it's about what gets people moving. So Jacob says we're up against the break again. When I come back, we're going to continue with media bias, but we're also going to talk about the shingles update because it's moving around again. So this is Jon Adams at Talk of the Town. If you want to call in, the phone number is 701-293-9000.
There's one question I ask those who suffer from chronic lower back pain. If you could feel better than you do, would you be interested? I'm Dr. Chad Zimmerman from the clinic in West Fargo. If you have chronic lower back pain and what you're doing isn't working, we have a 96% success rate with bad backs. Why? Because we're one of the few clinics in the state with advanced lumbar decompression therapy. Just one of hundreds of clients we've successfully treated. Here's Sherry.
There were times when I couldn't stand, I couldn't sit, couldn't work out in my garden with my flowers, couldn't water ski at the lake, had a hard time just bending over to pick up anything off the floor. I can walk without pain. I mean, I feel like I want to dance all the time. I have been shoveling snow, I run my snowblower, and I again can play and walk with my German Shepherd puppy.
If you have chronic lower back pain and want to feel better than you do, give us a call at 701-492-0696 or find us at theclinicnow.com. That's theclinicnow.com. Give us a call or send us a message and let them know Dr. Z sent you.
Hello from the WDAY News Center. I'm Ty Schoenert with your news update. A group of 85 people from various churches in the FM Metro now in Jordan trying to find flights home. The group has been stuck in Bethlehem after a Palestinian terrorist group, Hamas, attacked Israel on Saturday. About a third of the group have flights arranged to the U.S., but they're still in need of flights for the 50 other members of the group. Father Phil Ackerman tells us the North Dakota congressional delegation has been assisting in those efforts. He says Senator John Hoeven has been working with the U.S. State Department and the ambassador of Amman in Jordan, requesting additional commercial flights to get the group back home. Governor Doug Burgum ordering all flags at half-staff to honor the victims of Hamas's attack on Israel. Burgum says North Dakota joins the international community in condemning these horrific acts of violence against our allies in Israel. The governor's mansion illuminated blue and white, the colors of Israel's flag. And the city of Fargo moving 30 young trees outside the downtown library to permanent locations today. City Forester Scott Ludall says they've been growing 75 elm, maple, and ginkgo saplings. Now they need more room to grow. He says the trees will largely be placed in the civic space between the library and Fargo City Hall with a tree spade attachment to move the trees with their roots intact. I'm Ty Schoenert with WDAYRadioNow.com. First with the news when you need to know.
Mostly sunny to partly cloudy for this afternoon. We'll have highs reaching towards 61 degrees with an east wind around 10 to 15. For tonight, we hang on to that wind. It's partly cloudy with increasing clouds. Lows will level off near 40 and we'll warm back to the upper 50s to near 60 degrees on Thursday. Partly sunny and windy with northeast winds 15 to 30. It remains windy on your Friday. Highs near 50. A slight chance for some scattered showers. From the WDAY Skywatch Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Justin Storm.
The leaves may be falling, but now is the best time to order your new boat lift for next summer with huge savings. Take advantage of the biggest savings of the year on Flow boat lifts. Purchase a new Flow lift before October 31st and receive a free canopy fabric valued up to $5,100. That's right, upgrade your old lift now and receive a free canopy. Lakewood is the area's #1 Flow dealer for the best selection. With two great locations, Highway 10 just east of Detroit Lakes or Lakeland General Store just south of DL on Highway 59, Dunvilla.
Are you ready to take that big leap? To go from me to we? At Wimmer's Diamonds, we believe in making every moment magical. From classic solitaires to trendy designs, our engagement rings will make your love shine brighter than ever before. At Wimmer's Diamonds, we guarantee the best quality at unbeatable prices. Say goodbye to breaking the bank and hello to saying I do with style. So if you're ready to pop the question or simply want to celebrate your love, come visit Wimmer's Diamonds today, 4582 32nd Avenue South in Fargo.
This is Talk of the Town with Jon Adams on WDAY Radio.
Welcome back to Talk of the Town with Jon Adams. We have been talking about we've been talking about media bias. We've been talking about the Israeli-Palestinian conflict. And so I'm going to continue along those lines, but I want to point some things out that I think are important when we look at not only this situation, but situations that have happened in the United States and how they've been dealt with in the media. It seems that events happen, and in 2-3 years we find out that the events were nothing like they were reported. And we tend to just accept the fact that that's so. Okay? Excuse me. Like I said before, you look at Afghanistan. You look at the war in Iraq. You go as far back as the Kennedy assassination. We could look at all the leaders that were killed in the 60s. And we find out that our government had a big hand in a lot of the social upheaval that took place in the United States. And so for me, it's something that I think we need to be smarter as Americans. Okay? We need to put on, as my third grade teacher would say, we need to put on our thinking caps. We need to develop our critical thinking skills again and not be swayed by the 30-second sound bites that we hear coming out of here and there. You know, we've got an election coming up, and I personally think that this is the most critical election in the United States history, because our next leader is going to have a lot to deal with, a lot. And we need to be educated as citizens so that we make an informed decision. And I would tell people, I have never voted along party lines. I've always voted for the person that I think that would do the best job. And sometimes I win, sometimes I lose. And I would tell you right now, I've been losing bad the past couple of years. But I feel like that's my right as an American citizen, to be able to affect who our president is going to be. The thing is, we all should be participating in the process. As individuals, it may count very little, but as a group, we can affect change. And I think we need to. I think we need to get our head out of the sand and look at where our country is headed. We need to pay attention of the stuff that's coming out of Washington. I think it is ridiculous, the amount of money that we're spending in the Ukraine, when we know that we have issues, domestic issues, right here in the United States. And I'm sorry, but there isn't anybody in this world that can convince me that we're not, that we don't have bigger needs in this country. Every day, when I'm watching the TV, there's some ad on where there are millions of starving kids in the United States. We're not a third world country. They say now that the average person will not be able to afford a home. We're not a third world country. But yet, these are the things that we deal with every day. Taxes, don't get me started on taxes, because if people really stopped and looked, you are being taxed close to 3-4 times on the same money. And almost half of what you make is going back to the government in taxes in some form or another. Where I come from, if you buy a stereo and you pay taxes on it, that's all the taxes you pay on it, right? But yet when you buy a house, you're constantly paying paying taxes on the house, in addition to the special assessments. How? In the United States, in North Dakota, we have a surplus. We have the legacy fund that could alleviate a lot of economic issues for a lot of people. Why are we holding on to that? Now, if you're a business, the legacy fund is outstanding. If you want to build something or you want to grow something, the legacy fund is outstanding. But what about the everyday citizen that's trying to plan for the future, that's trying to plan for retirement, that's kind of plan to send their kids to college? So, again, if we don't know how to sort through media bias, then we end up with what we end up with. So, there are a couple housekeeping things I want to do. I said my shingles. So now I've got this creepy thing around my lower back that seems to be massaging my back in the most ridiculous of ways. It feels like there's a bunch of worms crawling down my spine and my mid-torso. And it's funny because I was out in Arizona and I didn't feel anything. It was the best that I had felt in quite some time. And so I'm thinking maybe I have to move to Arizona. You hear that, honey? I think I got to move to Arizona. So that's the shingles update. And my eyes, for whatever reason, are fuzzy a little bit today. So we're going to continue on. Fact, text, information. We have to understand media bias. Most entities that are putting information out there are bought and paid. They're bought and paid by the people that buy advertising. Okay? If I had any advertisers on the Jon Adams Talk of the Town show, you would bet I'd probably be pumping them up and mentioning them 5-6 times a period, but I don't have any yet, but I believe it's coming. The point is, if you hear me start mentioning people, and I'm not mentioning the whole industry, chances are that they have a vested interest, whoever I'm talking about. And so you have to look deeper. You have to figure out, why are these companies investing in this radio station to play their ads to do this type of information? Now, that's not a bad thing, but you just have to know what you're hearing. The law of checks and balances. You know, things have to balance out. So if I'm going to talk about one issue on this side, for instance, I've been talking about the Israeli-Palestinian conflict, I'm going to present both sides, okay? And I think what's happening to the Israelis is absolutely atrocious. It is so mind-boggling to me that we as humans can visit so much misery upon one another. It is callous. It is destructive. It is really sad. And so last night I prayed for peace. I prayed for healing. And I prayed that the Lord would give us understanding as human beings to do the right things and the things that need to be done. Because if we don't take care of us, it doesn't get any better. We can't remain on the sidelines. But along those lines, we have to do it in a way that makes sense. We have to do it in a way that makes sense. Okay? Lastly is supporting independent journalism. Okay? We have big media all over the United States. Okay? But I like little guys who come out of the woodwork to espouse views, and he's not a little guy anymore, but I love listening to Joe Rogan. And it's funny because a year ago, the woke movement came for Joe Rogan, and he basically fought them off with one hand and a couple Brazilian jiu-jitsu moves, and he's still on the air. Now, I don't agree with everything the guy has to say, but he has interesting guests on, and a lot of it I can get behind. He says a lot of things that we are thinking as Americans, but, you know, we have this habit in America of supporting people but not getting behind them, which I think is ridiculous. You know, if you have an ideal, then you should support that idea. There's no reason to be quiet about it, especially, you know, I believe in truth. Okay? I try to tell the truth, and for the most part I do. But we have to be strong in our convictions, and a lot of times we're not. And it just baffles me because when we're not strong in our convictions, it's at the detriment to what we need as a society. Okay? I hear people complain about the government all the time, but I don't see people in our own city. I don't see people going to the city commission meetings and getting the information. Everybody wants to complain about the parking ramps they want to build to the tune of $90 million, but nobody wants to go down and go to the city council meeting and say, the city commission meeting and say, you know what? We don't want this. If the guy's rich enough to build a building, he's rich enough to pay for a parking ramp. That's my view on it. Right now, we have other needs in this city that need to be met. And until we get out as a group and we get out in force, things don't change. And we all have to be a part of it. We have to put the R and the D aside. We have to put the C and the L aside. And we have to talk frank about what we want as a community, what we want as a society, what we want as citizens of the United States. Otherwise, we continue to get what we get. And so Jacob tells me that we're up against the break. This is Jon Adams with Talk of the Town. When we come back, I'm going to try to lighten it up a little bit because it seems like it's been a pretty heavy show. But you know what? For whatever, it's not whatever reason. I got to tell you, I think that for me, God puts things on my head and he leads me in a certain direction. And so as much as I wanted this show to be about positivity, I think in some way maybe it is about positivity, but we need to talk about these things. We can't be scared to voice what we know. So with that, we're going to see you on the other end of the break. If you want to call in, the phone number is 701-293-1000, and we'll see you on the other end of the break.
You gotta taste it. Hop aboard now, please. We're shipping out together to some other seas through the sandals.
Sounds like winter out there.
Did you just say?
Yep, they sure did, and it's coming. Hi, I'm Matthew, owner of Fix It Forward Auto Care. Winter's on the way, and it's time to get ready, including getting new all-weather tires designed specifically for our icy winter weather. Take advantage of our current rebates and availability, and our team can have you ready for winter today. Fix It Forward Auto Care, the name you trust for car repair.
Fix It Forward Auto Care.
As a roofer, I don't have time to fail. Homeowners rely on me, so I rely on Beacon. Beacon's unique network of branches work together to get me what I need when I need it. Every branch working together. And with the Beacon Pro Plus app, I've got the brands I depend on, like CertainTeed Landmark Pro, right at my fingertips. And now through November, purchase CertainTeed with Beacon Pro Plus, web or app, and earn up to $750. Beacon, always building.
Uh-oh, Brad's buzzed.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, he's starting with the woots. And now a speech.
I just want to say that friendship is about heart and brain. Who's with me?
Good thing is, he knows when he's buzzed.
And my brain is saying, when it's time to go home, somebody call me a ride.
Love that guy.
Me too.
Know your buzzed warning signs? Call for a ride when it's time to go home. Buzz driving is drunk driving. A message from NHTSA and the Ad Council.
Yeah, I'm so stressed. Our business is growing. We've got people all over now.
Ooma.
What is that? Meditation?
I'm recommending the Ooma cloud phone system with auto attendant and more than 50 features.
Ooma?
Yep, switching to Ooma is a cinch. Just $24.95 per month per user, plus taxes and fees.
Ooma.
Now you're feeling it. Find small business calm at ooma.com/radio. That's OOMA.com/radio.
Hey, it's Bonnie and Mastati from Bonnie and Friends. Join us weekday mornings beginning at 5. Coming up in our next show, Jason from the Breadsmith joins us. Be listening. One of you is going to win a party platter. Hunter Chef Jeff Benda was going out in the field doing a little coot hunting last weekend. Might he be serving up a coot recipe? We'll find out as he swings in. And Nicolette Bresnahan of the Fargo Moorhead West Fargo Chamber joins us to talk about a Halloween-themed Business After Hours event. All this and more in the next Bonnie and Friends beginning at 5 a.m. Join us.
This is Talk of the Town with Jon Adams on WDAY Radio.
Some people have plenty while others are empty. Misinformation.
Welcome back to Talk of the Town with Jon Adams. We're going to wrap it up here with a couple notes here. First of all, I want to give a shout out to the Bison for their fantastic win this past weekend. It's nice to see them back in the win column. You know, I tell people, a lot of people think, well, the Bison are going to slide and this and that. You know, it takes time to formulate a team. And in today's football world, anybody can win at any time. And so congratulations, Coach Inns and Bison Nation. Unfortunately, my Dragons, they got tipped out late by a field goal for Mankato State. But I still think that Coach Lacqua has things moving in the right direction. I'm hoping to get over there and watch a football game pretty soon. Now, let's talk about our Minnesota Vikings, okay? I told you guys we were going to get to that, so we've got 5 games in, and I can tell you that I am sorely disappointed with the way these games have been going. It seems like they have all the pieces, but they're making mistakes that are uncharacteristics of a pro football team. Drop passes, ill-timed penalties. They have all the pieces. Now, it's going to be interesting because they're not going to have Jonathan Jefferson for 4 games. And so what I know about teams and having coached is that when your star player goes down, everybody has to step up. So I'm looking for uptick in the offense, although if you look at it, Kirk Cousins' numbers have been stellar. He has been outstanding, and he's getting a lot of love, which is interesting. Somebody told me that Jonathan Jefferson said he didn't want to sign his contract because he wanted to see where Kirk Cousins was going to end up. And so that's pretty interesting if you have your star wide receiver putting his chips in the Kirk Cousins bag. So it'll be interesting to see the way that plays out. One thing that I did want to touch on, I had this show and really I had what I would term a slight bout of depression over knowing that my friend is over in Palestine going through what he's going through. And it was something that said, you know what, let's talk about mental health, And so there are some keys that I think people need to focus on. First of all, if you're feeling depressed or you're feeling out of sorts, don't wait. Seek professional help. Seek professional help because it can do nothing but help you. You're going to feel better. You're going to get answers. A lot of times depression can manifest in a lot of ways. You're tired. You're lethargic. You don't want to do anything. Feelings of hopelessness. The second thing is you have to have a support network, your friends and family. Make sure that you're telling them and communicating how you feel, because talking about it is the single most important thing, because a lot of times when we suffer depression, we feel like we're the only ones going through it, okay? You got to make healthy lifestyle choices. For me with these shingles, I've had to eat right. I've had to take my vitamins. I've had to get sleep. I haven't been able to golf as much, but I understand these are the things that I need to do. And if you're someone who suffers depression, you have to have a healthy lifestyle. And then one big thing I can tell you is that it is important to have a routine. The easiest way to combat depression is with stability. For me, fear of the unknown gives me angst like you wouldn't believe. And I will do anything to try to alleviate that feeling of uncertainty and angst. So, you get into a routine, you get into the things you like to do, that's going to help you. And then the last is you have to be mindful of what do you do. So when I start feeling angsty or I feel out of sorts, a lot of times I'll do deep breathing exercises. You could say it's meditation, but these things help me to relax. And then the last is you have to fall on your spirituality. Whatever deity, whatever spirituality you connect with, you have to have that. I believe that it's vital for the human condition. And so I just wanted to point that out. With that, I want to say first, thank you guys for supporting me on this show. You guys are valuable. I feel like this radio show has given me a platform to talk to people and maybe give you a different perspective, maybe to give you hope. I want this show to be a beacon of one day a week where people can go, I'm going to hear something interesting on Talk of the Town with Jon Adams. Now, I don't know if this last show was interesting, but I felt like it was a show that needed to be had. I feel like it was something that for me, it just weighed on my mind. So, this is funny. So on the TV right now is a shingles commercial. And evidently I missed it because I got them. And shingles does not care, evidently. It does not care whether you're going to a wedding. It doesn't care about golf. So anyway, with that, I want to thank you guys for being a part of the show. And I can promise you next week, we're going to have more of an uplifting show. We're going to have fun. We're going to get back to what makes Talk of the Town interesting and fun. So I want to thank you guys for tuning in to Talk of the Town. This is Jon Adams, and we'll see you next week.
Recharging my battery. Don't try to flatter me. Can't put me on salary. Gonna crush it with memory.
Soybeans under pressure with corn and livestock mixed. You're listening to the American Ag Network. of Jesse Allen with this market update. Well, let's take a look at what's happening in the market trade.